Welcome, everybody, to today's Linkers meeting with Cisco Expressions Toastmasters and Orators in the Cloud. Today's meeting is very special with this amazing theme of going around the world in just 80 minutes. I'm really curious to know how our tour guide is going to take us around the world in such a short time. But before that, I'll quickly tell the two rules which we have of any Toastmasters session. Number one, we do not speak about sex, religion, or politics over this platform. And number two, please keep yourselves muted when you're not speaking to avoid any disturbance to the speaker. And also, please switch on your videos so that we can see your wonderful faces while you're speaking. With that, I have very cool tongue twister for us today. So for the people who are from orators in the cloud, we introduce tongue twisters in our every session because tongue twisters helps us to rectify the sound and leads to a clearer speech pattern. So with that, I'll quickly share the tongue twister for today, and I would want some volunteers here. All right, 1 second. Let me quickly share. So who would like to volunteer till I bring up the deck? Or I'll pick out randomly. So this is the tongue twister, by the way, and someone has to attempt.
Shall I volunteer?
Go ahead.
Shall I try it?
Sure.
Okay. To begin first buy a toboggan, but don't buy too big a toboggan. Too big a toboggan is too big a toboggan to buy to begin toboggan. Wagon.
Too big of a tongue twister, by the way. Good attempt. Thank you, Prana. Anyone else who wants to try?
Hello, yes, I would like to go with this.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Okay, thank you. So, to begin to toboggan, first buy to toboggan, but don't buy too big a toboggan. Too big a toboggan is too big a toboggan to buy to begin to toboggan.
That was amazing. Thank you. So, by the way, for the people who do not know what a toboggan is, it's this. You must have seen it in modern times. It is used on snow to carry one or more people down the hill, and it's pronounced as toboggan. So, after knowing this, anyone wants to try? Last person, any volunteers?
I'd like to go if that's okay.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. To begin to toboggan, first buy a toboggan, but don't buy too big a toboggan. Too big a toboggan is too big a toboggan to buy to begin to toboggan.
All right, thank you. I'll paste this in the chat and you guys can practice at home. And with that, I'll hand it over to the for presidential address, Toastmaster Aishwarya and Toastmaster Sumedh. Over to you guys.
Thanks a lot, Toastmaster Neha. I'm finally glad I learned what a toboggan is because I heard it for the first time today. When a couple of days ago I heard that we were about to have our linkers meet, I immediately had a flashback. I just ran through my head how would it have been, conducting a linkers meet? How do you even get to one particular place? Because OITC meets in Bellandur and Cisco Expressions meets in Kadubisnahalli, and I've pretty much forgotten the map of Bangalore right now because I've been in Coimbatore for almost a year. We've all been in different cities. So imagine conducting it in an actual world. We'll have to give it a half an hour of time before traffic and after traffic to get to the place, get permission from the authorities to keep a meeting there. But this particular linkers meet, we have all managed to put it together despite being in different cities throughout India, I suppose. And that shows me something. A year ago, when we all thought things were going smooth and the human race has never or has overcome all the great challenges, the universe said, just wait 1 second. I have a new challenge for you. And it's a microscopic organism. You can't even see it with your eyes. That particular organism is challenging our lives and turning our lives upside down. And that's when I realized tough times never last and tough people do. And today, OITC and Cisco Expressions have managed to take these tough times and face this adversity and convert it into an opportunity for a linkers meet via an online platform. And what did it take? Cab charge, traffic time, nothing. Just click on a link and go and conduct our linkers meet. Thanks a lot to everybody who's gathered here today. I would just say one thing again. Take every adversity and convert it into an opportunity. Let us all be optimists, because an optimist sees an opportunity in every adversity. And that's all from my side. Over to you, Sumedh.
Thank you, Toastmaster Aishwarya. Well, I like to second whatever Toastmaster Aishwarya said, because that's the truth, right? We had about 1 year or 6 months, 8 months, whatever time frame before actually getting into this pandemic zone, and we know how tough it was to actually move out of our comfort zones and have linkers meet before going virtual. So this itself is a big deal for both the clubs, in terms that we not only get to see the best of both worlds, but also be an active part of it. And that's basically the reason why we have linkers meetings or rendezvous meetings in the first place. Not only does it increase the crowd size, but also gets us speaking with unfamiliar faces, right? When we talk to familiar faces, what happens is we get casual and we are comfortable. This is just to challenge ourselves to take that further step more and talk to people whom we don't know out of our comfort zone, right? So that's basically why we actually decided on conducting linkers meets, or why we actually have these kind of meets. So my only request for all the role takers is to give their best regardless of who is sitting and who is watching you. And to the non-role takers who can be prospective table topic speakers, please do take up the challenge when and where we get there. And looking forward to hearing from all of you, right? So with that, I would like to hand over the dais to the TMoD for today, Toastmaster Akash. Toastmaster Akash.
All right. Thank you, Toastmaster Sumedh. Hey guys, am I audible? All right. So for the benefit of our guests, I'll quickly explain the pattern of our Toastmasters meeting. Generally, our Toastmasters meeting is divided in 3 segments. The first one is the prepared speeches, where the Toastmasters prepare a speech and come deliver it here. The speeches are from 5 to 7 minutes. The second segment is the table topics. Now that is where we can hone our impromptu skills. This segment is open for all of us, including the guests. So feel free to participate in that. And the last segment is the evaluation segment, where we evaluate the speakers for the day. Now to take this session forward, I have a very able person who helps me run this show, and that is the general evaluator. When I pinged the general evaluator today and asked him to share some of his fond memories from his previous travels, he shared an interesting story. He told me one adventure back when he was in the Jerusalem city was he had to sneak past the wall, which was guarded by an armed officer, and I couldn't stop my laughter. Over to you, to the general evaluator of the day, Toastmaster Phil.
Greetings, Toastmaster Akash. Hello, fellow Toastmasters and guests. That memory is seared into my mind, and it still gives me palpitations, because I think it's safe to say that I probably didn't have to sneak past that guard, but I was led there by someone, and I was caused to sneak past that guard, and he was asleep on duty, so I don't think he'd have been terribly happy if he'd have woken up. So the purpose of the general evaluator is to evaluate everything that takes place in the meeting, and to help me with that, then I'm assisted by a team that we call the tag team, the timer, the AhCounter, and the Grammarian. I'd like to introduce those guys now. So first up, please, our timer, Toastmaster Sridhar, could you possibly introduce yourself and your role?
Thank you, Toastmaster Philip. Good evening, Toastmasters and guests. In Toastmasters, we learn to speak in designated time frame. So to facilitate that, I am as a timer, tracking the time and remind all the speakers how much time they left and also they spent on time, so that we will run this meeting on time. I will use online application. So to track the time, it will show green screen when you have spent enough time on your speech as per the requirement. It will show yellow screen so that it will show the remaining time left. It will show the red screen so that your time is over. For table topics, we have 2 minutes. For speech evaluations, we have 3 minutes. For prepared speeches, we have 7 minutes. For example, for prepared speeches, after 5 minutes, it will show green screen. It will be available till 6th minute. At 6th minute, it will turn to yellow screen. And at the 7th minute, it will show red screen. Thank you, Toastmaster. Back to General Evaluator.
Thank you for explaining that. Next up, please, the next member of the panel is the AhCounter. Konrad, could you possibly introduce yourself and your role?
Thank you, Toastmaster Phil. Greetings, fellow Toastmasters and guests. I will be your AhCounter for the day. The purpose of AhCounter is to know words and sounds that are used as a crutch or pause filler by anyone who speaks. During the meeting, I will listen for overused words, including and, well, but, so, and you know. I will also listen for filler sounds, including and I will also note when a speaker repeats a word or a phrase, such as I, and this means, this means. At the end of the meeting, I will report the number of times that each speaker used these expressions. Back to you, Toastmaster Phil.
Thank you, Toastmaster Konrad. The final member of the panel is the Grammarian. Toastmaster Pranav, could you possibly introduce yourself and your role?
Okay. So first of all, good evening, one and all present here in this virtual meet. So now, today I'm the Grammarian of the day. So the word for the day is, one second, the word for the day, I'll share the screen. So the word for the day is summons. That means for non-payment of a parking ticket. It means in similar words, you can tell it as an invitation or charge or bidding. It is like an order to appear before a judge or magistrate or the writ containing such an order. That means like if you violate the traffic rules, you will be summoned. That means you'll be charged for the you'll be fined for that. Like if you violate the rules, like if you are going in a traffic, if you violate the red signal, you will be fined. That means you'll be summoned. That is a word for the day. So at the end, I'll be presenting the Grammarian report based on good usages and the bad usages. So I'll be presenting the report at the end of the day. Of the end of this meeting, I'll be presenting the report of this like the usages. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Pranav. I'm glad to say I've never had a summons, despite my dubious trips around Jerusalem. So after the tag team have given their individual reports, I will also give my report at the end of the meeting on how things went overall. With that, thank you very much. Back to you, Toastmaster Akash.
Thanks a lot, Toastmaster Phil. So for the benefit of our guests, I will quickly explain what Linkers Meet is. So Linkers Meet is basically where two clubs come together and have a meeting with their guests, with both the members taking part in the meeting. So if you want to think of the Linkers Meet, it's something like combined studies, which we would have back in the school, where we would have fun, we would study, and we would learn together. So that's exactly what Linkers Meet is all about. Moving on to the theme of the day, around the world in 80 minutes. When I was a kid, whenever I spoke to my relatives, friends, or sometimes I even watched people on the TV, that they would tell me they learned so much when they traveled. They got a different perspective of this world. And I would always think, does traveling really do all these things? Isn't traveling a little overrated? That's what I would always think until I started traveling. 6 or 7 years back when I started working, I would travel to a lot of countries, and I realized that traveling, definitely, it's indeed something that people have always said. You learn so much. I would say traveling is like reading a book or watching a movie. If I give you a review of a book, you wouldn't understand or you wouldn't appreciate it as much as you read the book by yourself, or if you watch the movie, right? So when this thought came to my mind, I thought, we all know that the best beaches are in Mauritius, the Maldives. We know that the best mountains are in the Switzerland or maybe the Himalayas. But what about the lesser known places? Places that are not famous, where people don't really go, and those which have been left unexplored. I thought, let me take you guys on that journey and share bits and pieces about those places in the world. Right, so let me share my screen to quickly run you through this. The first country, yeah, I think now you guys can see my screen, right? Yeah, so the first country that came to my mind was a little offbeat, and it is Mongolia. Now, Mongolia is one of the largest landlocked countries in the world, and it's inhabited by nomadic people. Yes, there are still nomadic people there. And there's a horse culture in the country. So people still roam around the country in horses, they trade horses, they have sports which involves horse. And they have one of the best landscapes in the world. There's a mountain on one side and there's a beautiful desert, and there are lakes in between. Imagine how beautiful it would be to backpack and go camp in one of those places. It's also famous for its snow leopards. And one of the most important things is they don't have a stable internet in the country. Yeah, so if I think of getting away from my city life and go to a secluded place, then Mongolia would be one of the first places I would visit. On that note, let's start today's session and the first stop of our today's meeting, that is the prepared speeches, right? So for today's prepared speeches, we have our first evaluator. This person loves watching cricket when he is free and also loves reading sci-fi books. Over to you, the first evaluator, Toastmaster, Srinivasan.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the Day, Akash. Hello, everyone. I am Srinivasan from the Orators in the Cloud Toastmasters Club. As the speech evaluator today for the first speaker, what I'm going to do is that I will look into his speech and give my evaluations and comments. So the speaker is taking the L2P3 project today. And the topic of the speech is that when I was a prodigy. The purpose of this project is for the member to clearly define how Toastmasters envisions mentoring. And the purpose of the speech is for the member to share some aspects of previous experiences as a prodigy. At the end of the speech, I will be presenting my evaluations and comments. All the best to the speaker today. Over to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you. So the speaker today, I know him very well. I remember this funny story of his. He told me he abstains from drinking alcohol, which is fine. And the first time he came to Bangalore, he was shocked by the alcohol culture that Bangalore has. So that gave me I actually laughed. I had a hearty laugh when I heard that, basically. And I still remember that incident of him. So calling upon the stage, Toastmaster Sandeep. When I was a protege, Toastmaster Sandeep. Over to you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Akash. Audio check. Thank you. A mentor is someone who allows to see the hope inside you. A mentor is a member who provides you guidance and support to empower mentees to reach their goals. And some mentees like me may not reach the goals, but still I can share my experience. Dear Toastmasters and guests, welcome to my journey of being a mentee. Well, my first experience of being a protege dates back to few years ago when I was starting to learn how to swim. Ladies and gentlemen, it took me more over 6 months to learn how to swim confidently and without any supervision. Well, I'm saying it proudly that it took me more than 6 months because for first 5 months, I was just watching the water and felt happy about it, just like Mr. Bean. All of you have seen that Mr. Bean clip of a swimming pool experience. I was in that same situation. I was just watching the water from a jumping board. And then one day, someone asked me, Uncle, you are blocking my way to jump. So I stepped aside and watched curiously the person while he was preparing to jump. Now, to acknowledge my curiosity, this person told me very gently, Uncle, you don't watch the water, you just jump into it. I was amazed by this confident. Moreover, this person told me, Sir, next time you jump with me, and I will show you how to float. This person was Karan, a kid who was more than 10 years younger to me. I was quite encouraged by the simple say, next time you jump with me and I will show you how to swim. All successful mentors provide their mentees confident and encouragement to start their journey, whether it is delivering a speech, learning new objective, or crossing a river or starting a mountain trek. Knowledgeable mentors provide you open feedback. I was amazed by talking with this kid. He was so sure of what he was professing about, and he clearly told me what I should not do. So, real mentors always know what they are best at, and they share their feedback without any judgment. My next experience of being a mentee again goes back to few years ago when I joined Toastmasters. Again, here, for initial few months, I was just a silent audience, watching the people deliver speech, and I just kept clapping about it. So the judgment day came when I had to deliver my icebreaker speech. I was so scared. I had no experience about delivering a speech. So I called my mentor. Hello, Alok. I have to deliver my icebreaker speech. Alok replied, Oh, wow, that's great. And I was again curious. Hey, buddy, I'm calling you because I don't feel great about it. To which Alok replied, Hey, man, it's simple. You just stand there, go to the stage, stand for a few minutes, and say a few words about it. And I'm sure that you can speak for 4 to 5 minutes. Man, that is the problem. I cannot speak in front of the people for 4 to 5 minutes and being alone on the stage. To which Alok replied, I'm sure you have many things to share. That line stuck to my mind. Like he already knew that I can share my experience over a stage. So I prepared And with encouragement from my mentor Alok, I was able to deliver a fantastic icebreaker speech. So the real mentor knows inside out of the mentee. The knowledgeable mentors always know more than the mentees, even themselves. And the mentor brings out the best of the mentee. So I'm glad that I have a, I am a part of this great Cisco Expressions club where everyone around me is just like a mentor to me. So if you are looking for a mentor, I am sure that a great one is already nearby you. And what about the mentors? So if you are already a mentor, I like to quote from a movie Kung Fu Panda that there is always even something to learn for a master. Over to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Sandeep. That was a wonderful speech. In fact, research also says that having a mentor, I mean, companies that had mentors had lesser attrition rate than companies that didn't assign mentors to the new joinees. Right, so that was a very good learning point from you there. Thanks a lot. Moving on to our next speech. The evaluator of this speech is someone who loves running. He's a nature lover, and he's also our ex-Toastmaster of Cisco Expressions Club. Calling upon Anurag Agarwal, over to you.
Hi Akash, thanks for the nice introduction. I'll be evaluating speech of Shreya today. She will be attempting her L1P2 speech from leadership leadership manual. Her speech timing is 5 to 7 minutes. And all the best to Shreya for her speech. What do you, Akash?
Thank you. Now the next speaker is someone who loves beaches, and she's someone who doesn't really sit around and enjoy that place. She's someone who's always on the move and loves traveling from one place to another incessantly. Calling upon the next speaker, Toastmaster, one second, Toastmaster Shreya. Where lies your happiness? Where lies your happiness, Toastmaster Shreya? Over to you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Akash. Can you guys hear me? All right. Hello, good evening, everybody. This is Shreya, and let me start by my speech by asking you a question first. Do you people here think that humanity adds meaning to this world and that humans were designed to save this world? How many of you think so? Okay, I see a few hands up. And I understand where you're coming from, that humans may seem superior today because we do control the fate of some other species around us, but I have to respectfully disagree. And before I continue with the rest of my speech, let me give you a teeny tiny disclaimer. Today, I'm going to be pondering out loud about something that has been a constant debate in my head. You don't have to agree with everything I say, and if you don't, then please treat whatever I say with a pinch of salt. Hundreds of thousands of years ago, when humanity was gaining cognitive skills, they thought that everything revolved around them. They thought that the sun revolved around the earth, that the moon and the stars were there for us to appreciate the beautiful night sky, and that all the other species were there to aid our survival. That is why they prayed to everything. They prayed to the air, the sun, the trees, and whatnot, because they were so grateful to be gifted all these things. Only recently have we begun to realize that is not the case. We are not gifted anything. We are part of the existence of this universe. We are only one species in millions of species inhabiting this earth, which is just a normal sized planet in our galaxy, which has millions and millions of other stars and planets. And then our universe is it has millions of other galaxies like these. Honestly, we are just flakes. We are inconsequential beings, coincidentally coexisting in this state of the universe. Sounds a bit dramatic and sad, doesn't it? But what if I tell you that this could actually be a source of happiness? Nihilism. 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 A nihilist is someone who does not believe that there's preconceived or pre-associated meanings to life. In other words, life is meaningless. So there are two ways to take this, right? The first obvious way is, why on earth should I even get up in the morning to do whatever I've been doing if whatever I do doesn't even matter? What the hell? The second way to take this is, if what I do is not really going to make an impact, why don't I focus on doing things that make me happy and give me joy? That is called optimistic nihilism. Of course, this is not applicable in every situation or to every person. I mean, I wouldn't recommend this strategy of self-happiness to someone whose happiness is out of killing people. But, let's think a bit more about this. The sun was created one fine day and it is going to combust some other fine day. So do we really matter? Whatever we do, our actions, our failures, or shortcomings, do they make any difference? And if not, does that not free us of the pressure of doing things a certain way and instead let us do things that we really want to do in our own way to give us happiness? Your happiness, your path, your future is in your hands. And there's something incredibly empowering about that. I'm not here to convince you of the idea of optimistic nihilism, but I'm just here to make you question. I find that in times of difficulty, when I'm at my lowest points, this concept has actually helped me. When I have lost people that I deeply loved in my life, or the people who I really cared for hurt me in ways that I could not comprehend, I realized that the world moves on. The sun comes up one day and then it goes down in the evening. People continue with their work. It's only on me to get up, dust off myself, and try to find other sources of happiness. When there have been times where I have put so much, all my energy into making something happen, and yet it has not happened successfully. In those times, I didn't know where to direct my anger or what to do with the frustration that I had. But in those situations, it sometimes helps to snap yourself out of it, look at it from a third person point of view, and then think, did either outcome really matter? Was it going to make a difference? No. But what matters is, did I enjoy? Did I have fun? Did I gain happiness out of the journey? And did I learn something from it? And the answer to all of those is yes, because my happiness, my path, my future solely in my hands. What about yours? Thank you.
That was a wonderful speech, Shreya. Thanks for that. You really made me take a step back and think if what I was doing was for me or was just something mundane that didn't really matter. Anyway, moving on. Let's continue our journey, folks, and let's see which country we would like to visit next. And that would be, South Africa. Now, South Africa is in the southern part of Africa, and it has a beautiful coastline. Not many of us know about it. Also, it's got one of the world's best national parks and the best forests out there. and not to mention the beautiful animals that inhabit these forests, right? If you see on the other side of the slide, we have beautiful meandering roads overlooking the ocean. And this definitely tempts us to fire up our convertibles, put on our sunglasses and go for a drive, right? So that is about South Africa. And South Africa is a country which has got a rich history, where they had the anti-apartheid movements and they fought racism. They've done some really good things. So this is one of those countries which is not in anyone's radar, and not many of them visit this. It will be good to visit this place. All right, before the timer summons me and before I'm in problem, let's go ahead with our meeting. And to call upon the table topics masters, I'd like to introduce him as one of those persons who, as a boy, was schooled at 12 different places. Yes, 12 different places. Over to you, Toastmaster Sumedh.
Thank you so very much, TMoD Akash. That's right, I was schooled in 12 different schools. Yes, I was a decent academic performer and I was not kicked out. And yes, that I am an alum of 12 different schools. It's just one of those things which I had an opportunity to be a part of because my father was in a transferable job and I used to move along with him. So the early part of my childhood was pretty much like the Banjaras. We would just move on from one city to another without actually completing a course anywhere. So yeah, that's basically the explanation to why I was schooled at 12 different places. Now, having traveled so much in my early life, one of the things that I found an interest in was geography. That's right, I'm a geography freak. Anyways, so the thing with geography is, as and as you travel, you kind of pick up a lot of things and cultures from cities, right? And that's basically what I wanted to do with the Toastmaster table topic session today. What I would do is I would just give out a prompt. Now this prompt, according to the theme, in accordance to the theme, will have a destination, a city, okay, which may be or may not be exotic. Again, that depends on your luck. But once I give you the prompt, you have to start a story with the prompt, okay? The prompt being the first line itself. That's basically all it is. So anyone who will volunteer, or should I start summoning people to the dais? All right, I see a hand up. So Raj, all right. So can you pick a number from 1 to 15?
Uh, 1 to 15. So I think 14.
All right. Okay. So the prompt for you is, in our sophomore year, my friends and I visited the beaches of Goa. Okay, let me just put that on the chat.
Yeah.
All right, so you have to start with that sentence and speak.
Yeah, like you're telling this sophomore years that like good thing. Like for me is what now, like me and my friends visit, we'll be having to visit like when I meet my college friends or any school friend, we'll be having the interest of going to the outing like in Bangalore, we'll be having the interest of going to this restaurants or going to any place like chit chat, doing the chit chat and talking about our school days or college days, what we have done. And they used to remember, oh, Pranav, I remember in school days, my friends used to remember. Even I forget that memories they used to remember. Pranav do the used to do the noise in the every period. Now you remember that used to do the noise and everybody used to tell, oh, oh, this guy is doing the noise and everybody used to laugh. That was wonderful memory. Like when we meet all together, we visit like we used to go for a restaurant. Like it was 10 years back. we our school friends, we all met together because that time my degree exam got over. So next day we all got met together, and we met in a cafe. We met in a coffee day where we were discussing like many things, like what we were doing and what are the nicknames I used to keep for everybody else. So that was a funny thing, and people also get frustrated. This guy is keeping the nickname, so that I cannot forget. Like when we all visit like together and going to some coffee dates, like a very amazing thing for me. That's all. Over to you, Toastmasters Sumedh.
Thank you so very much for being a part. Uh, who will go next? All right, Hind, can you pick a number from 1 to 14?
9.
All right. Oh, that's nice. Okay. Okay, so your prompt is New York City is the best place to be during spring season.
New York City, guys, trust me, is the best place to be during the spring season because when it's spring, the flowers bloom, if I'm not mistaken. I always confuse the seasons. during spring season, the flowers bloom. And New York, if I'm once again not mistaken, having been to the city so many times, I confuse it with some other cities as well. So New York has the Central Park, which has a lot of trees. And trees by their nature, as the nature provided them, put out flowers. So when you go to New York City during spring season, you see flowers. And either you go to New York City during spring season or you go to the Valley of Flower trek, which is not easy. So the easier thing to do is just take a flight ticket and fly to New York to look at flowers. Because, well, if there is something that is pure and beautiful in this world, it is a flower. And and New York has flowers during spring season. That's why I began by saying that New York City is one of the best places to be in when it's spring season. It's also the best place to be in during spring season because the winters have just ended, so you will not freeze to death, and the summers have not yet started, so you will not sweat to death. So it's a good time. And that's about it. Thank you very much. Back to you, Table Topic Master.
Thank you so much, Hind, for being a participant. I'm totally sure that you visited New York City multiple times, especially during the winters and the summers. You seem to have some personal experience with that. Who will go next? Anurag, I see your hand up. Can you give me a number from 1 to 13?
11.
11? Okay, all right. Okay. All right, your prompt is, I spent my childhood in the bustling cities of Delhi.
Okay. So Delhi has a lot of facilities, and childhood in Delhi will be good because there are a lot of parks and there are a lot of places to go around. So Delhi is not as nowadays. Delhi is not as good as it had been when I was a child. So the traffic was less as compared to today, and there's a lot of greenery. I could go to near Qutub Minar and India Gate, and there's a lot of parks and water over there. So I used to play with my friends over there, and in the parks there were a lot of swings and a lot of things to play with. So I had a lot of opportunity to make friends in Delhi and play over there. So even weather was good at that point of time, and though it is hot in summer, but it's also vacation time. So all children come out and we can play and make a lot of fun over there. Yeah, so that's all about it. Thanks. Over to you.
All right, thank you, Toastmaster Anurag. So any other guests that we have here who want to speak up, this would be the right time. I see Rohit, Shailendra, Saurav, Sri Kalyan, all you guys as guests. All right, Sri Kalyan has been summoned now. Can you give us a number, Sri Kalyan?
I got 7.
7, all right. Okay. Yeah, this should be fun. All right. So some days I miss the traffic jams of Bangalore city. That's your prompt.
Some days I miss the traffic jams of Bangalore city because when I'm riding my 500cc Royal Enfield Classic 500 at 5 kilometers per hour, there is no better feeling than that. I miss the traffic jams in Bangalore city because when you are not there in silk mode for 55 minutes to cross 200 meters, you have not lived life the proper way. And when you are coming from outside the city, you went to a road trip and you rode 200 kilometers at 100 kilometers per hour. But when you enter the city, you are just going at 15 kilometers per hour. You haven't lived your life. That is why I miss some of the traffic jams in Bangalore city. I also miss them because there isn't the bustle that is happening back then. And the time that I spent in traffic is more than the time that I spent in office. And that is why I miss the traffic jams in Bangalore city. Thank you so much. Back to you.
Thank you so very much, Kalyan. I guess I have a small anecdote with the traffic jams of Bangalore. There was this one highly posh area, I think somewhere in Indranagar, where we were stuck in a traffic jam. And we were going so slowly that we were just looking out of the windows, looking at the shops. And one of my friends called that window shopping. And whenever we get stuck in traffic jams, he will always invoke that silly pun. So I miss that aspect of Bangalore city traffic. All right, I think we can have one more participant. Oh, 2 participants raised their hand. We have Sridhar and Inderpreet. Inderpreet, the Sridhar is a role taker, so I'll go with
No worry, I can take it up. No worries.
All right. Okay, Inderpreet, can you give me a number from 1
Number
to
5.
Number 5. Okay. All right. Okay, so your prompt is, last fall, I visited Barcelona with my family.
Last fall, I visited Barcelona with my family, as I always had a dream that I want to go on a world tour with my family. So what is the best place to start with Barcelona? Also, people have seen the movies in Gina Milegi Dobara. And I saw the exact locations, though the shooting was done in the Barcelona beaches and all that stuff, where they went into the pool diving and all that stuff. So from that day, I had always a dream to take my parents along with me to the Barcelona. The Barcelona and also one of the famous football clubs which I follow. And I'm also a big fan of the Lionel Messi, who is one of the greatest footballers of all time. Now, when I just went to the Barcelona, I found the streets are very interesting. Also, the locality is also great over there. Amazing food. And whenever you are in Barcelona, it always makes me feel like I should not go away anytime. If given a chance, I would like to shift permanently to Barcelona. While playing with the locals, I can also be a good football player. And maybe one day I get recruited into the Barcelona Football Club. And all the members who are present in this meeting, they can have a huge fan following. And I can see my close buddy Akash is laughing a lot. I'm sure he's going to come to me and give a signed jersey to him. And no worries, Akash, I have seen you. You will be the first one to get it. And also, I'm going to get some amazing pizzas and some other good eateries from Barcelona, especially for you, Akash, handpicked. And that's all. And over to you, Sumedh. Thank you.
Thank you, Inderpreet. Well, this was actually a personal choice question because I actually had a plan of visiting Barcelona last year. You know how that went. I was here all throughout. And yes, all right. So my question to the timer, can we do one more or shall I call it quits?
Time is up, Toastmaster.
Well, everyone heard the timer. I'm really sorry we could not keep this up, but thank you for being sport. And I'll just one more thing before I give the DAS back to the TMoD. Whenever we have the table topic sessions, it is always more enjoyable when people volunteer, regardless of how they perform. And so from next time around, whether it be our uh, guests or non role taker Toastmasters, please do join in. And before we actually go off, we also do one round of voting. So fill in if any one of you can paste the links across. All right, so the link has been pasted up on the chat. Timer, please give us 1 minute. People can just log into the link and vote for who they thought were the best table topic speaker for the day. All right, with that, I like to hand over the dais back to the TMoD for the day, Toastmaster Akash.
Thanks a lot, Toastmaster Sumedh. That was a wonderful table topics. And then we had some amazing speakers to speak. All right, moving on. So, let's have one more stop. Keeping time in mind, I just have one more place to show you guys, and that is Alaska. Alaska is not a country, it's a state. It's one of the largest states in the United States of America. Now, for your information, Alaska is separated from the United States by Canada, right? So there's something more interesting about Alaska. In 1867, USA bought Alaska from Russia for a mere $7.2 million. That is $150 million in today's value. And Alaska has abundance of natural gas and oil. So that was quite a bargain for the United States. Alaska is also famous for a few things, that is the Northern Lights. Now, we've always heard about Northern Lights, famous in Norway, Iceland, and a few other countries in the Nordic region of Europe, but they're pretty famous in Alaska as well. And Alaska is it's the only place in the world which has 3 types of bear, right? It has the polar bear, the black bear, and the brown bear. So if you want to visit Alaska, just feel free, and it's one of the best places to camp around. All right, moving on to one of the most important sessions of the day, that is the evaluation. I'd like to call upon the general evaluator. Phil, over to you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Akash. So yeah, we have now reached the part of the meeting where we evaluate the overall performance of the meeting and the people who have spoken. As I mentioned before, I'll be helped in this by the tag team, and I'm going to call on each of those in turn. So I'd like to start first, if I may. Oh, sorry, I say the tag team. I'm actually going to start with the speech evaluators, and we will start with the first speech evaluator, which is Srinivasan.
Thank you, Toastmaster Phil. I see that the speaker has switched on his video. Thank you. So let me start my evaluation. And thank you, Toastmaster Sandeep, for the very good speech. It was a very great speech and it was very well given. Congrats. So here are some of my observations. The speaker has excelled on these areas in the speech. The speaker gave a well-rounded and a clear speech with the right tempo. This enabled the audience to understand the speech content and connect with the speaker. The speaker was on time during the speech, which is very important, and congrats to you on being punctual. The speaker did not have many CRPF words during the speech and used good anecdotes. Example, the Kung Fu Panda quotations, and which helped the audience connect with how a mentor should be, like what is the goal of a mentee, what is the goal of a mentor, and so on. The speaker also gave a personal example which helped to have a connect with the audience. So when he was talking about Mr. Bean's scenarios and he himself being on the swimming pool, I started to imagine the same, and it actually helped a lot in the connection of the speech. And the speaker was pretty confident during the speech, which is one of the major highlights of the speech. There are obviously things to work on and some hard love to give during the evaluations. So here are some of them. The speaker may want to add more vocal variety in the speech. For example, during the introduction, adding more vocal variety and emotion will help in quickly establishing a connect with the audience. And some sentences felt like phrases which could be more well-rounded by adding some more context and some more information. To challenge the speaker, here are some of the examples. The speaker can challenge himself by adding more hand gestures during the speech. He can say that I was going to swim, and I think I'm giving a bad example, but again, this is one of the major areas, one of the good areas he can challenge himself on. And the speaker can also add more emotions during the speech. So he can say that I was really sad. I was sitting in the swimming pool for a long time, but then there were many people who have said, "Uncle, please move." So these kind of emotions can be incorporated. But overall, a great speech, and I'm sure that you will take these challenges and improve your speaking skills. Thank you. Over to you, Toastmaster Phil.
Thank you, Toastmaster Srinivasan. And so to evaluate the second speech, I would like to now call on Toastmaster Anurag, please. I think we may have lost Toastmaster Anurag. Well, that's going to make a mockery of my limited notes. I must say what I was going to say about Shreya's speech, and hopefully Anurag will be able to provide a kind of full report separately to Shreya on this. You took us through real highs and lows, and yeah, I felt genuine emotion coming as you discussed how you felt about the world and how things could be, I suppose, put on you, or that you can take control of them and you can decide what matters to you. And overall, I felt it was a great speech. It was well paced. It was interesting. So thank you very much for that. Still no sign of Anurag. So with that, I will call on the tag team now to tell us how the individual specific areas of the meeting went. And I'll start with the timer. Sridhar, could you provide your evaluation, please?
Thank you, Toastmaster Philip. Let me share my screen where I will share the report. I think you have to see my screen. So we have 2 speeches, 5 table topics masters, then 2 speakers for evaluation. So Sandeep took 5 minutes 55 seconds and Shreya took 6 minutes 5 seconds. Both are within time. It's all right. They are escaped from summons. And our table topic speakers, Pranav, Kishore, Anurag, and Sree, they're well maintained. So they're also escaped. Our Srinivasan Evaluator 1, he's also escaped because he maintained time 2 minutes 36 seconds. Let's come. We have something addition today. So I'm tracking how other facilitators are doing it. So first, Neha, I'm sorry for that. You are someone that it's decided to take 2 minutes, but it took 3 minutes 25 seconds. And apart from that, I see all other roles went well. And the other thing, Toastmaster of the day, Akash, took some 2 minutes more during introducing evaluation of the day. I think this is my report. I hope whoever are summoned, no need to pay any fine, just need to relax and breathe. Thank you, Toastmaster.
So thank you, Shreya. I'd like to now call on the AhCounter, please. Konrad, could you provide us your report?
Yes, thank you, Phil. Here are the counts for the CRPF words by our Toastmasters. So first, Sergeant at Arms, Neha, get away with not many CRPF words, just a single arm, so, and maybe a single repeat. Same goes for our Presiding Officer, Aishvarya, just a single arm and a repeat. Our Presiding Officer, Sumedh, a bit more R and arms, also so's, and a few repeats. Our Toastmaster of today, Akash, a few so's and a couple of repeats, and a few ands as well. Phil, our General Evaluator, quite a few arms, a couple airs, and 3 so's. Nothing else. Our timer, Sridhar, get away with just a single so and maybe a single repeat. Our Grammarian and table topics participant, Praj, used a few R's, few likes, and a couple so's. Also 2 repeats there. Our first evaluator, Srinivasan, used 3 R's, couple arms, 1 air, and a so. Our second evaluator, Anurag, and table topics participant used 5 arms, arcs, 4 arcs, and 3 so's, also 2 ends and right. Our second speaker, Shreya, got away with just 2 or 3 repeats, not many CRPFs, maybe a single so. Very good. Our table topics participant, Sree, just 2 repeats, and a single end as well. Our other table topics participant, Inderpreet, used 2 arms and 2 ends. Our table topics participant, Hind, used a single A and a single so. Very good. And myself, I'm an AhCounter, but I didn't get away from some CRPF words. So back to you, Phil.
Thank you for that comprehensive report, Toastmaster Konrad. So looking at the meeting overall, I feel that it's been an excellent meeting, and I've learned a lot, which is always brilliant. I must say, having the extra club there as was pointed out by our presiding officers, provides some real insight into the different things that can be done and the different approaches that people take. So I really enjoyed the tongue twister at the start, and likewise the timer using their screen as a sharing mechanism, I thought worked really well, because it means that you don't have to pin the screen when it's gone off. It came right up there. The only problem that I did see with that was it tripped me up a couple of times. You probably saw me leaning forward, desperately trying to unmute as the screen shot around as the share happened and went away. In terms of the timing, I think we started a little late and we did gradually lose time as we went. I guess we might be back on time now as we lost in the evaluations. Akash, I thought an excellent job as Toastmaster. I really couldn't fault it. I think you had one little stumble, but that was only really obvious because of the excellence of the rest of the job that you did, taking us through interesting topics and linking things together. Grammarian, I thought the word of the day possibly could have been better chosen. I don't know if anyone other than me used it. I wasn't actually listening out for that.
No. The Grammarian report, it's like, it's me only, sir. The word for the day is summon. Summons means like non-payment of tax. That means if they violate any rules, police, will be charged and fined.
I get that. I guess I don't know how many people were using the word of the day. I felt that maybe an adjective or an adverb would have been easier for people to insert rather than a noun, so that they could apply it to anything that they were already going to say.
But I'm going to share the Grammarian report now, like good usages of the Grammarian report.
I am so sorry. I've just realised what I've done.
Sorry.
Yeah,
so
no, entirely valid. I haven't given you the opportunity to do the Grammarian report. Grammarian, please go ahead.
So, the good usages by Sandeep is supervision, curiosity, professing, and curious. And last one, wrong usage is like instead of striked, he just told us struck. It is a wrong usage is striked. The wrong usage is struck, that we have to use as striked. It's striked in my mind. So that was the thing I just noted down. And Shreya, it was like she used this word pondering, galaxy, flakes, obvious, optimistic, incredible, snack. So that was more interesting to me. And last, Sumedh used one word called exhortive. And next is Hind Kishore, he used a word called bloom and freeze, the proper usage. And next is last, Inderpreet used one word called goody. This thing was very interesting in this thing. That's all. So this is the report for the day. This is a report. This is my Grammarian report. Over to you, Toastmasters.
My apologies once again. So what I did like, both from the timers reports and the Grammarians reports, was the sharing of the screen. I think it allows the speaker to focus on the specific things that they want to talk about, and people can pick up the other information that they want to do. In both cases, there were slight niggles. So the timer, your screen didn't quite fit, and you were moving it around. And Grammarian, you've been moving your mouse around on the screen to show us where to look. I don't think that's necessary, and it sort of distracts away from you when you're speaking. I thought Srinivasan's evaluation of the speech was excellent. It had points for improvement, but it was very positive and reflected the speech itself. And I think with that would be the end of my report. Thank you very much, everyone. I've really enjoyed it. Back to you, Toastmaster Akash.
Thanks a lot, Phil. And the feeling is mutual. I really enjoyed interacting with you all, and that was a wonderful session, I have to say. Now we had a fabulous session. We had such an amazing prepared speeches and awe-inspiring table topics. and thought-provoking evaluation. With all that, I'd like to leave you all with one question. The places I chose today were not just normal places, but they all had animals and wildlife which are endangered. These places are not, they don't get enough public attention, and therefore the attention of the conservationists. The animals from snow leopard to the polar bear and 100 more are endangered today and are on the brink of extinction. Do these animals deserve to perish from the face of this planet? Is this the legacy we want to leave behind? Over to you, the presiding officer of the day.
Thank you so very much, TMoD Akash. Well, I just realized that this is the third time I'm on the dais today, and I know that can be exhausting. After all, there's a reason why I was schooled in 12 different places. People found me exhausting after some time, but then, hey, you have to take some things by the chin. One thing that we generally do at this point is have the links open for the best speakers and the best role takers. So can we have those links on the chat, please? Okay, while that process is taking its place. Okay, I think we have the link there. All right, the timer, can you give us 1 minute, please? So while the results are being processed and Toastmaster Aishwarya will get to announce them, I'll just go ahead and finish off the final say here from my end. That is that I really enjoyed this meet. Yes, it wasn't perfect. Yes, there were some mistakes made by the role takers, but as we strive for perfection, and that this is just part of the journey. And as we go forward, I think that's something that we need to look forward to: collaboration as well as learning for your own self. So it is with that thought, I would like to hand over the dais to the PO from Cisco. That would be Toastmaster Aishwarya.
Thanks a lot, Sumedh, and I request everybody present on call to, exercise your right to democracy and, vote for your favorites for this week. That being said, I kind of wondered, it's been long since I was in a linkers meet. Am I audible? Zoom just keeps throwing me a message that you're muted. Thanks a lot, Sumedh. So there's one key takeaway that I'd like everybody here to have. That is, whenever you're giving a speech in your club, you kind of become the club becomes a second family to you. You know everybody in the club, you know everybody's style of speech, style of evaluation, and so on. But when you're giving it in an outside club, that is when you get a real audience, and that is what life actually throws to you. It is very, very important for all of us to visit another club at least once in a month, so that you kind of get outside your comfort zone, and that is when you'll know your real strength and real weakness. That's all from my side. Do jump out of the comfort zone, because that is where the magic happens. And we have been getting in our results. Okay, we have the winner of table topics here. That is Sri Kalyan. The best evaluator goes to Srinivasan. We're still awaiting the results for the other categories. we'll wait for a couple of minutes before we get the other results. Meanwhile, the best role taker goes to our TMoD Akash, the person who guided us along several countries. And thanks a lot for the final lesson, Akash. I did not know there were endangered species in these countries. It was very beautiful how you connected all of them at the end. It was like a beautiful puzzle. So best speaker and best auxiliary role taker still awaited.
Aishwarya, we generally do not, we have major.
Let's combine together.
Yeah, speaker, evaluator. Everybody GE tag and evaluators are competing again in best evaluator, and everybody else is competing in best speaker.
Okay, then I think we are done with results for now. Well, thanks a lot for letting me know that. In otherwise, it'd be still waiting and it's waste of time. That's all from my side.
That'd be fun though. To wait for half an hour and then I reveal it to you. That would have been fun.
Okay, that's a good one. But it's too serious for that game right now. Thanks a lot for letting me know that, and thanks a lot for jumping the gun and letting me know. And that's all from my side. Guests from Orators in the Cloud, you know whom to reach out. You can reach out to Hind, you can reach out to Sumedh, anybody here on call who are taking the stage here today. Guests from Cisco Xpressions, kindly feel free to reach out to Akash, Pranav, me, anybody who you saw here today, and we can discuss more on Toastmasters if you have any query. And that's all from my side, and we come to the official end of today's Linkers meeting. Thanks a lot to YTC and all the people who worked off stage to make this meeting happen. I know it's not easy to put together two people from two different organizations, but thanks a lot for making it happen. Kalyan from Cisco Xpressions and so many people from Cisco Xpressions. I'm not sure how many hands actually went into this because it's a huge event, and thanks a lot to everybody who got involved.